Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most overpowered Dupin build in Palworld's 1.0 update. Now Dupin isn't the strongest fire pal in the game, but he's the cutest magician cat bunny in the world. So we're going to build strictly around this pal, who is honestly very powerful. So I'll be breaking down all the best ways to pair this pal up, give it some strong attacks, and counter everything in the game, because you can actually use this pal, and it's got some of the coolest animations as you're seeing there. Now Dupin is a fire type with one of the worst partner skills in the game. It does benefit the player, however, because it will give you an increased amount of damage when your health goes below 50%, but that unfortunately isn't enough to carry it through some of the harder content in the game. But with this, it can do some idle, like you can AFK and still take down a lot of the hardest boss in the game, but that partner skill there will do a burn explosion when your health goes below 50% here, and gives you a 50% attack boost as well. But yeah, you can see it there. Our little bunny cat is so strong. And it's actually kind of interesting how to make a fire team as powerful as possible. But one thing that we can do is, if we want to assist Dupin here, we can throw on Needle Knocked. Its special ability is going to allow us to apply ivy covered buildup on our attacks. If we're using something like the combat SMG, assault rifle, you name it, this will build up ivy covered quickly. And why this is important is it's going to double fire damage. So if you want to have a very powerful fire build, you're going to have to throw some grass types on our team. Needle will also increase the damage against ivy covered enemies by 65%, so you can put ivy covered on, burnt, and also then do a lot of fire damage, but also show some other situations that work well too. As is always for any type of pal damage build, we want to have Orzerk here, increasing damage by 5%. A drone launcher will give you that 150% damage boost to our pals immediately, so it's insanely powerful. The combat SMG works great too. And if you go with a full-on fire setup, Jormuntide Ignis is nice because whenever you burn an enemy, it's going to give a 65% damage boost. And again, their special skill will actually do a burn buildup of 777 when your health flows below 50%. This isn't something that happens very often. Hopefully they rework in the future, because Dupin is super cute. But we could also build and use Renjishi here, which will give our attacks burn buildup. Now the only downside is burn buildup just gives us extra damage. It's not like the ivy covered, which will double our fire damage, but you could end up setting up something like this. So taking off the needles and throwing on Renjishi, Jormuntide, and then using something like Fluffle here. Whenever the player attacks an enemy that's inflicted with burn, the enemy will explode, dealing damage equal to 60% of the player's attack damage to nearby enemies. This is mostly just used for anything that's in a large area, like if you have multiple enemies in an area of effect, because that is not going to hit the same target. So alternatively, Magix is a great choice too, because whenever you're hit an enemy that's got burned, it's going to do continuous damage equal to 30% with a flame around your character, and it'll also have this apply with Magix too. So this can work well. This is a fox cat to go with our bunny cat. Now, I personally like, if you want to do the fire setup, Maraith is just a really good one, because there's a lot of boss fights in this game that will give you many enemies to take out, giving you 60% of your skill back, so that Dupin can use Trickster Show here, which has a 30-second cooldown, 70 base power, and applies burn. This is a really cool move. I really do enjoy it, but you do want to have something that's going to boost up its abilities, like Serenity here. We'll get to passes in a moment, but if you want to go for the full burn setup, you can go with a team like this here. Orzerk's always going to be on the team. Can swap out Maraith and go with Dupin, Magix, Renjishi, and Jormuntide Ignis, and alongside Orzerk. But the greatest support, in my opinion, would be roll with Dupin, Maraith, Needle Knocked, and Orzerk. This is going to boost up Dupin's abilities quite a bit. Now, there is other options, like you could throw on like Solenne to give yourself a damage boost as well. Sylvestius to give yourself a defense boost, but I personally like to go with this setup or that fire setup I just mentioned. And for the passive skills that we're going to roll with on Dupin here, Demon God for the attack boost is amazing. Serenity, so that we get the skill cooldown reduced by 30%. Again, massive, because Trickster Show has a 30-second one, so that's taking a whole 10 seconds off it. Diamond Body here, giving us the defense boost, but most important is the flinch and knockback reduction, since this is a small pal, but he gets launched, and with this, it's just going to be a big DPS boost, because our defense is increasing, but we're also not getting interrupted out of our attacks. Immortality plus Diamond Body is crazy, because this will give us 5% lifesteal and also regeneration rate. But it also gives us a 15% attack. So we got 15, 10% from this, and then 30% from Demon God there with a slight defense boost. So overall, we are strong enough with this here. Dupin's also a really great base pal with handiwork, kindling, medicine production, transporting, and some of the cutest animations in the game. But for our moves, I like to always have Trickster Show. It's just really funny to see this one. He's going to pull out his top hat, shoot birds that are made of fire from it, which is awesome. Full of life, this game really is. But we can also make this pal counter pretty much everything in the game. If you wanted to counter Panthalus and also the final boss, for example, we'd go Circle Vine, Sand Twister, and Apocalypse. These are moves that hit multiple times against large enemies, so any large boss in the game, this is going to be your loadout, because these are just really good for it. Now, you can also learn things like Blizzard Spike here, which is incredible because you can freeze an enemy, giving you time to cast some of your other spells, because Trickster Show does have a pretty long cooldown. But if we're going against regular enemies, we would want to just like to maximize, like obviously go with the fire setup. We'd go with Trickster Show, Fireball, 60 base power, 30-second cooldown. And then for our final move, I prefer having like a shorter cooldown move. So like Ignis Breath isn't amazing, but it is an option that you can spam pretty quickly. I like Flame Wall though. This sets up a wall of fire, which does fit somewhat thematically with a 12-second cooldown. This could be really nice. Flame Funnel is also kind of good. It works really well in this setup. Volcanic Rain and Ignis Rage do have a longer cooldown, which can work, and even Spitfire can work, but I prefer to go with like Flame Wall, Trickster Show, and Fireball. And the accessories that we will use, most important, is the Flame Emperor's Baton. This gives Pal attack up 20% and also fire damage boosted by 20% too. You can throw on the other batons, whatever moves that you end up using, throw on the respective batons. So like Apocalypse, we got the Lord of the Underworld's baton, but these also do apply to the Pal naturally because it gives a 20% attack boost no matter what skill you're using. So you could honestly put 4 batons on here, but I'm also throwing on the Dojin emblem because this gives our Pal 20% damage, but also the player. And you can also throw in Sylvestia's emblem here to give you defense and pal defense up. However, you can alternatively throw on another baton or use one of these others here, like the Jet Dragons if you're going to use dragon damage, for example. Lily Nox if you want to throw in dark type damage. These both give a defense boost. So if you got like Apocalypse on Dupin, you can throw this on. And even things like the Psycho Gravity move can be really nice. This is a new Dupin. I have another one that I end up using often, but this one's just more specialized for this purpose. But yeah, I typically like to roll with that. Also, it's nice to have the drone launcher because you can boost up Orzurk's ability really easily. I also like the combat SMG, especially with things like the Needle Knock, because you can apply Ivy covered quickly, Beam Scatter, one of the strongest weapons in the game, and Mechanical Bow too. And Crave Mamoresk Curry, it's just really good. 25% attack boost is a massive boost to the damage. Now the fun thing is Dupin's actually really good against every single fight in this game. So you can see here, we're actually doing respectable damage here against this final boss. Unfortunately, he cast that skill in a very bad position, but I wasn't even buffing him up with the drone launcher, so I'll send that off there, and then we'll go ahead with our attack so that we can get Orzurk's buff to give him further increased damage. Now against certain bosses, you can also recall Dupin, as that is something you typically want to get into a habit of doing, but Immortality is going to allow it to sustain itself really well, and we're on to the halfway mark. That is just how powerful this is. I personally really like to use things like the combat SMG. This boss isn't great for that, but you saw we're melting its health really quickly here. Dupin the GOAT, in all honesty. It's so crazy how much damage he can output, and he's just tanking all that because he's a good fella. Now, he does have a lot of defensive abilities too, which makes it great, but here we go. It destroyed it. Now here I'll go with the fire theme setup. So Dupin, Magix, Yormantide Ignis, Renjishi, and Orzurk. So yeah, Dupin can do some pretty silly stuff. I forgot to swap out Dupin's moves here, but Dad's still doing a good enough job against this boss here. We got lucky with the RNG there. So yeah, I didn't have to attack and we're already doing a lot of damage. And yeah, I got the finish off there on hard mode. Goodest bunny cat. All right, so here it is with the proper setup. So it's got the Trickster move there with doing the fire damage, which is not as good against boss type enemies. And it's also got Fireball and Wall of Fire equipped, so it can do some pretty good stuff with that. We applied the burn there, so that was giving us an explosion, and then he hit it with a Fireball to finish her off. So yeah, that's great. So yeah, Dupin's my favorite pal, and I was requested to do a build regarding him because he's really cool. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and we'll catch you guys all in the next video.